Hi guys, it's Wafurial, and may I present to you the utterly scandalous topic of today's video, Valorant Agents in the Real World University Edition. If I'm being entirely honest, I was not going to be releasing a video this week because I'm literally busy with finals season, but I was like, you know what, I'm not really wasting time because it's basically on topic, so let's spill some university. First up is Brimmy with the Stimmy, who is definitely a communications major. I mean, look at the guy, he's got the microphone already going on. He likes resolving conflicts and bossing people around, so I feel like communications is the perfect pathway for him. I also feel like with age comes wisdom, so I feel like Brim would be the top of his class if I'm honest. Outside of class, Brim is definitely frequenting the campus pub and just having a pint of beer and yapping to whoever just happens to be around. And maybe he even plays a bit of recreational American football. I mean, who knows? He might be the old dog, but he was once young. Now it's time to talk about Phoenix. I can definitely see Phoenix being a business major. He's probably a decent student, I'd say middle of the pack, because you know, he likes to go out and have a good time, party, go clubbing, go to the pub with his friends. He's definitely part of a big friend group, super popular and cool. However, what sets him apart from some individuals like this is he's not an asshole. Enough said. So Phoenix is just out here living his best university life. He's probably getting all the chicks because, I mean, he really has some riz. Like, his in-game voice lines, like, I'm like, okay, like, the banter, anyways, moving on. You all might call me basic for this next one, but let's talk about Sage. Sage is definitely in pre-med or nursing of some sort. I mean, come on. She's a healer. She's got a good attitude, bedside manner, doesn't harass the team like some of the other agents. Yoru chamber. But anyways, that's right. She's also 100% the top of her class. She is studious. She's studying. She's doing the work. She always participates in class discussions. Outside of her classes though, Sage is probably part of the gardening club where they have like a nice little communal herb garden, vegetable, fruit garden type situation. I mean, Sage is a herb, so I feel like my logic is sound, right? Like, yeah. Next up is Sova. I think Sova would be a psychology major because, you know, his voice lines in game are always quite supportive. Like, you know, he has that one where he's like, oh, if you're not a good shot today, don't worry, there are other ways to be useful. And that just warms my cold heart, you know? And I think that he's very empathetic and kind, and I think that's a great quality for psychology majors who need to understand others. I think Sova would have a small friend group and mainly hang out with Sage because, you know, they're in the same, you know, health and science department. As for the type of student Sova is, I think that it's safe to say he is a pretty high achieving student, not top of the class, but definitely up there. And as for extracurricular activities, I think we all know what Sova would be doing with his free time, and that's archery.
Scanning ahead. Scanning it. Revealing it. Revealing it. Scanning ahead.
Let's talk about Viper. Viper, mommy. Okay, so we all know that Viper already has her PhD, Dr. Sabine, but for the purposes of this video, we will just pretend that is not the case. So Viper would definitely be a chemistry major who is the top of her class. She sits alone at the lab bench because she has a resting bitch face and therefore seems really unapproachable. And honestly, I don't blame people because I would not personally be approaching Viper because number one, she's a literal baddie of the century. And she just looks scary and intimidating. I'm not going to lie, like, could not be me. But even somebody like Viper definitely has a fun side, and for extracurricular activities, I think Viper would be part of a medieval club who cooks up some crazy potions and does sword fighting. And I don't care if you guys think I'm unhinged for that answer, I know I'm right, and that's what matters. Okay, now to talk about Omen. Omen is definitely a biology major who also gets really good grades and is part of the arts and crafts club with his little knitting that he does. I think it's knitting. I don't know the difference between knitting and crocheting, so I do sincerely apologize to people who pursue those hobbies that I am in fact ignorant. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about Omen. He's a pretty unassuming guy who keeps himself and, you know, just like staying home. Let us discuss Cypher. Now, Cypher is almost certainly a computer science major who is also like a hardcore gamer. Like, I'm talking, bro sits in his basement playing League of Legends with his only friend who happens to be his duo pretty much all night until like 4 a.m. And because of this, Cypher probably does not really attend class very much, but he's still the guy who works smarter, not harder, and he like looks everything up online and somehow still gets decent grades. So I respect it. But Cypher also feels like the type of guy who would hack somebody's Chipotle account for his final project to prove that it could be done and to get a really tasty burrito for free. Okay, you guys are gonna need to hear me out on this next one because I will be talking about Reyna. I think Reyna would honestly be an education major, specifically linguistics. Now hear me out. She speaks Spanish, number one. A second language, well, a first language, a second language. It's her first language, but she speaks 2 languages, maybe more, you know? She's a queen like that, okay? No pun intended, Reyna. Second of all, Reyna has a little sister who she absolutely adores, and when Gekko first joined the Valorant initiative, she really helped him out and welcomed him. So I feel like this speaks to her character. Behind all that baddie energy, she really wants to help people out, and she has a good heart, you know? I think Reyna would be a really good student, to be honest. Not much to say other than that. Outside of class, I feel like she's the type of person who would not respond to anyone's texts, but she has like a small group of loyal friends. I'm super excited to talk about this next one because this would be the cutest university couple #wifey for life situation, and that would be KJ and Raze. Now, they're both in the same program, which would be mechanical engineering. But let's first off start by talking about KJ. KJ is definitely the overachiever who nobody really likes, but it's really just because everybody's jealous of her. She's also quite awkward and maybe just hangs around Raze a lot, but you know, she tries her best to like talk to the people next to her, but you know, doesn't always go the best. KJ is also definitely the type of person who would start the group project the second the semester starts. The second the syllabus hits the desk, she's like, okay guys, who's doing what? What are we doing? We're gonna get an A. Like, she is intense about it. Outside of class, KJ is a very dedicated student, always studying in the library, and she also would be the head of the Engineering Students Association. Raze, on the other hand, is a little more laid back than KJ. I definitely envision her dragging KJ out to frat parties and stuff like that, you know, those crazy rave type situations. You know, she's always here for the party. But I also view Raze as someone who seems like she's a slacker, but she's actually really smart and actually does her work. So I think that Raze also gets really good grades. Obviously, she's not quite as intense about it as KJ, who is like getting everything done the second it's handed to her. Also, Raze is probably the co-president of the Engineering Student Association based on her own merit, but also because KJ put in a good word. #couple goals, cutest couple on campus. Am I right or am I right? It's time to discuss Breachy Boy, aka Breach. Breach is almost certainly in the sports management program because he is very dedicated to working out and sports. I don't think Breach would be a stellar student. I think he'd be pretty average, but you know, he hits the gym every day with his pal Skye and he never misses a leg day. Now this one might be a little niche, but outside of class, I think Breach would be a really amazing ultimate frisbee player with those bionic arms. To be honest, he's probably the captain of the ultimate frisbee team, but you know, I'm just drawing conclusions based on what I know. It's always snack time when you're with Jett because she's always cooking up a storm, and therefore I think she would be a culinary arts major. Jett is definitely that classmate who has really positive energy, hypes everyone up. She's a good student and very passionate about cooking and eating, of course. And outside of class, I think Jett's pretty chill. You know, she loves going out with her friends to trendy new restaurants and just getting a taste of life, a flavor of her surroundings, if you will. I can't believe their Viper is putting all that toxic shit in the air. Okay, I'm so sorry to all the Australians. Okay, I'm so sorry. But I will be talking about Skye, and this voice line leads me into her major, which would be environmental science. Again, I think Skye is kind of giving average student, just like Breach, but she no less is very dedicated to her work in conservation. I could definitely envision Skye volunteering at the local veterinary hospital and various environmental groups. I don't see her as much of a partier, but maybe occasionally for the change of scenery. And of course, she is also on the recreational ultimate frisbee team with Breach as the co-captain. Yoru, Yoru, Yoru. What should I say about yoru? I think that he would be a physics major. However, I think he would be a terrible student. Never in class, maybe goes to office hours to make up for it, but then never studies. However, I feel like he would miraculously pass the course, but by a very slim margin, and I definitely think that he's a partier. I don't know why yoru gives off these vibes. Maybe it's kind of that attitude he has, but something about him just does not sit right, you know? And that's why I'm saying these bad things about him. I don't think he's cooking much, to be honest, but he still passes, so hey, a win is a win. As he says, I don't care if there are 5 of them or 50 of them, and that's what he means about assignments. That's exactly what he's talking about. The friendliest person in the universe is probably Astra, and she would be an astronomy major. She seems like she would be a very good and attentive student who has great class attendance and participation. And outside of class, I feel like she would be the type who runs weekly astronomy gatherings at the campus observatory and is part of like some sort of board game club. Next up is Ko, and to be honest, it was really hard to think of a major for him because he's a robot, okay? So I went with a communications major because I thought it was too offensive to say that he was probably one of KJ's final projects that didn't turn out so well. As for Ko though, I think that he's the type who doesn't really go outside much, mainly hangs out with KJ and Raze, and of course, most importantly, is the mascot for the Engineering Student Association. I don't really like talking about people who I don't like, so talking about Chamber is a little bit painful. So I've dedicated Chamber as the college dropout. He was originally in the business program, and I don't really feel like I need to explain why he would be a dropout, but I think it has something to do with his egotistical and arrogant attitude, and like the professors were sick of him. He also was always batting way out of his league by trying to get Viper to go on a date with him, to which she vehemently rejected him multiple times. And the final straw probably was when he tried to initiate a pyramid scheme as a final project. And PS, I'm not being a hater to dropouts or anything like that, but I definitely am being a hater to Chamber. The ultimate track star of university is Neon, who is a kinesiology major, because I envision Neon really wanting to become some sort of pro athlete, like a track star. However, she still had to pick a major in order to be able to attend university and to get on the university track team. I think Neon enjoys partying in moderation outside of class, and overall, she's a good student. As for Fade, she saw The Exorcist when she was a kid, and all of a sudden decided she wanted to be a film studies major when she grew up. She's the campus emo baddie, an icon, if you will, and she enjoys talking to Sova about the psychological causes of nightmares, and oftentimes she seems a little too eager, and Sova gets a little concerned, naturally. Now, let's discuss Harbor. Harbor is definitely a marine biology major because obviously his abilities are very water related, and I feel that he would be part of the sailing club and be quite an avid book reader. I don't know why he gives me that energy, but I feel that's just him, you know? On to Gekko. I think that Gekko gives graphic design major energy because he has his cute little buddies, Thrash, Mosh, Wingman, Dizzy. Oh, I'm surprised I got them all. And I feel like he would make cute little animated drawings, especially for his friends. Like, he would always be giving them stuff for free if they asked. He just seems very wholesome like that. Outside of class though, I think that he would be part of the anime club, and I really do not know why I think this. He just gives off anime energy. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, maybe it's because he's like a skater guy and just very colorful and friendly. And I don't know if a lot of people who watch anime give off that energy, but I don't know. Back to the engineering department, we definitely have Deadlock, who would be an electrical engineering major. I'm gonna say something a little unhinged. I think that Deadlock would be a very dedicated student by day and a stand-up comedian by night. I don't know why she gives this vibe, but I believe in balance, and I feel like so she always, you know, everyone has two sides kind of. That sounds toxic, but I think Deadlock has some level of sarcasm and banter in her that we're yet to see. I also feel like she's a gamer who likes those kind of cozy games like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing. So I feel like she would be doing that in her free time as well. Let's talk about ISO, who I envision as a fashion design major. And this is kind of just the way he presents himself and dresses. He got that nice haircut, the nice fit going on. When he's not strutting down the main library hallway like it's a runway, he's busy sketching fashion designs and mock-ups for what he's gonna make. Also, because he has that clean, edgy streetwear aesthetic, I think it fits very well into the fashion design major idea. I don't think ISO does much outside of cooking up some crazy fashion ideas. I think he just stays home and he's a big dreamer about becoming a top fashion designer. If I may pitch a name idea for his future fashion brand, may I suggest Isolationist Couture? Like his alt that isolates you. Okay, I kind of cooked with that. Let me know if you guys have any of your own ideas in the comments. Moving right along, let's talk about Clove. I think Clove has a very bubbly and colorful personality, so therefore I think that they would be in the fine arts major. I feel like every artist has a signature style or image they portray, and naturally Cloves would be their butterfly that seems to be all over their outfit and abilities and stuff. I think it's in their abilities. Honestly, I don't play Clove. I also think that Clove would be like a sculptor or in the pottery kind of medium. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I think Clove also gives off major reader energy, so maybe Clove and Harbor can start their own book club. I don't know. That's just a thought, but that's what I feel like they would be doing on their free time. Finally, let's talk about Vyse. It was really difficult to decide on what to make Vyse's major. However, I settled on biology with a specialization in plant biology, specifically because she has that rose thorn ability, and therefore, by extension, I just thought that she would be a plant biologist, okay? What can I say? And I don't know much about Vyse. I just met her, you know? She's only been around for a few months, I think. I don't know. She seems kind of grumpy, to be honest, and likes yelling at people, so I feel like she would just sit in her room all day if she's not at school. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed, perhaps consider liking and subscribing. See you guys next time. Bye-bye!